Hi there, I'd like to show you how to do this base, and we'll be looking at these dimensions right here, especially these dimensions for the first three, and then I drop down and look at these dimensions for the star. The first two are pretty easy. Third one, the triangle's a little more tricky, and then the star will kick you in the head if you're not careful. So that one is a challenge. So let's go ahead and we'll slide that on over and make that a little bit bigger so I can see it. There we go. And let me go ahead and get Autodesk Inventor up and running here. We have done this before. I'm just going to get rid of it. We're going to go New, English, Standard, and Create. Start a 2D sketch. Go to the XY plane. I like working up here, so I kind of get that where I can work with it. Oops. We'll go ahead and go to a rectangle. And that the top number, the length of the top, 1.975 tab. And the other number is 1.59 and enter. And we should have the right. Let's just double check that and make sure this is right before we go any further, because you don't want to start off with the wrong foot forward. There we go. We'll finish the sketch and we'll extrude that out. That needs to be extruded 0.30 and click OK. I'm just double checking my dimensions on my other screen, and then we are going to create a sketch on this side. Make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. And the first thing we're going to do is establish this point in the right place. We'll do the circle and work our way around clockwise. So up and down, that needs to be 0.340. And we also want to go left and right, and that needs to be 0.490 or just 0.49. And let's just double check, make sure that looks good. And it does. So then we'll just want to put a circle from that point. The circle size is, it's kind of hard to see, but it's 0.580, and then hit enter. Yep, that looks good. And so now we're going to make a rectangle over here. And that rectangle, actually it is a square, so we need to make that at, it doesn't actually say it's a square, but we will assume that, which is always dangerous because you need to have the right dimensions. But we'll assume it's a square at 0.580 and then hit enter. Now we do want to get it in the right location, so we'll go to dimension, top of the square, top edge, and that is actually just a tiny little bit, 0.05, 50 thousandths of an inch. And then we'll go from this side to that side, we'll go up, and that needs to be 0.200 and hit enter. And it slides it to the right spot. Now the question is where do we start with the triangles? As you look at the triangle and the dimensions there, you'll notice that the one side is 0.638. So if you take half of that plus 0.050, you end up with 0.369. So that's the height. So let's go ahead and establish that point at that height. You'll go dimension, click on that point, click on the bottom, and click on the number, and that needs to be 0.369 and hit enter. And now we just need to get it in the right spot, left and right. And that needs to be 0.2. 0.200. You don't have to do the zeros, but did it anyway. And so now we have established that point, and because we know it is a triangle, and that would require the angles within to be equal to 180 degrees. That means each angle is at 60 degrees, because you can tell it's an equal angled. They all have the same angles. So half of that would be 30 degrees. And so if you go from here all the way, 180 would be all the way. Remove 30 from that would be 150 degrees. And so that's what we need to do. This line needs to be at 150 degrees, and it needs to be 0.638 long. So we'll go 0.368, 0.36, hold on. That's bad. I'm getting those mixed up. 0.638, there we go. And then hit tab, and then put in 150, and then you can hit tab again, and then hit enter. And now we know we've got it right. Turn those numbers around just a little bit. That's easy enough to do. So you got to always pay close attention to the details. Now it's 90 degrees, and the length needs to be 0.638, and hit enter. And always double check your work, because if it's not quite right, it's not quite right. So if we go green to green, that should be 0.638, and it is. So we know we have the triangle done. And so now we're going to make the star, which is the most challenging one to do. So we'll just establish a point. We'll dimension that point left and right. And that is 0.488. And hit enter. And then we'll establish the point up and down. And that needs to be 0.363. And then hit enter. And then we should have the point in the correct spot. You can double check your work, and it makes sense to do that so you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning to fix it. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to come up and use the construction line. So we'll use the construction line, and I need to make sure to turn that off when we want to make the object line. So the first thing we want to do is go to circle. We'll make a circle from there, and that circle needs to be 0.605, and hit enter. Notice that that's a dotted line and not a solid line like this. It's not an object line, it's a construction line. And now we do want to go up to rectangle where it has an arrow. You go all the way down to polygon, and you'll make it 5 sides, so it's a pentagon. Put 5 in there. Click on the center, and make sure the top of the pentagon is straight across. And it is. So there we go. We're all set up. And now I need to remember to click on the construction line. That turns that off. We'll make this a little bit bigger so that you can see what I'm doing, and I can see it better myself. So we'll go with line. First thing we're going to start right here. It turns green. Make sure it turns green, because if it doesn't, then they won't connect and it won't work out for you the way you want it to be. The length of that line is, let's see over here. Oh yeah, let's get this at 90 degrees again. And that is 0.187, and it's at 90 degrees. Hit enter. That is correct. Now from there we can make a line, turns green, to there, that turns green. That's good. This next line is a little trickier, but it's not too bad. You want it to be 0.187 and the center line connecting it there. So click right there. That's good. So you had the right length and it was hitting the center line. Now it's just dot to dot. And that is correct. And then we'll want to go straight down like we did before. Just make sure it turns green. We'll go straight down, 0.187, and hit enter. Next one is easy. It's basically dot to dot, turns green. So right there, that turns green. Okay, that's looking good. And so now we start hitting some challenging ones. So what I'm going to do to make this just a little bit easier, we want that length, of course, to be the same length as it was. So we want that to be 0.187 and then hit enter. And what you can do after that to make it in the right spot is go to parallel constraint. So we're going to click on this line to make sure it's parallel to this line, and it is now, and then escape. And then we're going to do another line from here, turns green, and that's 0.187, so we know it is correct. Again, we'll go from here, we'll make a line, and then we'll make it parallel. So let's make that 0.187, and then enter, and then escape. And what we're going to do is go with parallel, click on that line, click on this line, and that makes it parallel. And that is good. That's what we want. And then we're going to go from the end of this line, green to green, and it is 0.187, which is working perfectly. There we go. No guessing on that. Looks like the star is done. We'll see. I see one line is purple and the other one isn't. That bothers me a little bit, but we'll see if it's connected here in just a second. We're going to extrude. We're going to cut through all. Choose that shape. Okay, accepted that shape, so that's good. And then okay. And you can see what we've got going right there. And then what we want to do is go to fillet. Change that radius to 0.2 and get that out of the way. Click on the edges and we will say okay to that. And now it's just a matter of going up to shell and change that thickness to 0.01. It was 0.1, it's got to be 0.01. Click on the side you want to be shelled out and then click OK. And there you have it. It is the base completed. Now we can go back to that. We can go to default and make it a different, I don't know, glossy gold. I don't know, what would that do? That looks pretty good just like that. All right, and then just come over here and save it. Save it as base. And, oh, I already have that. You want to replace it? Yes, it can replace the other one. That's fine. Okay, so we've got the base done, and I think that covers everything. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is a little more challenging, especially the star, but you can do it if you hang in there and keep trying. Have a great day. Bye.